It's no blood, no foul.
It's no blood, no foul.
It's no blood, no foul. Emotions spill on the court when you proud to rep your city, New York.
What's going on, everyone? And welcome to the latest edition of the No Blood, No Foul podcast with the Barbell GM. I'm your host, Slice, as always. I'm joined by my co-host, Coke, as well as our executive producer, Moo. Hey, we also got with us Melvin Robinson today, former player from St. Peter's University, as well as the current head coach for the Environmental Studies and Midtown Manhattan High School. Melvin, we really appreciate you joining us today, man.
Thanks for having me. Been looking forward to talking some hoops with you guys.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. And, hey, it's a good day for Knicks fans as we got a big win tonight, 118-109 over the Charlotte Hornets. Knicks improved to 40-31 for the season. Get that key 40th win, and Julius Randle got a 6th triple-double this season this year. So, the first quarter was a little bit close, but the Knicks got it up going early, up 9, 36-27, and carried that same advantage into halftime, up 60-54. Julius Randle had a big game for the Knicks, showed that he's our leader with 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists, while Devontae Graham led the Hornets with 15 points. The Hornets outscored the Knicks by 6 in the third, and then 3 in the fourth, to force overtime. But the Knicks took advantage in OT, showing why we're a playoff team, showing why the Knicks have made strides, made improvements compared to last season's as they held on for this 9-point win, 118-109. Like I said, Julius Randle got a 6th triple-double this season. In the second to last game, we got one more game against the Boston Celtics tomorrow. Coke, kick us off with your thoughts, brother.
Well, first off, man, we got to give major props to the Knicks because they just got 40 wins in a shortened 72-game season, and that's monumental. Nobody saw this coming. This is just a successful season no matter what happens in the playoffs. So, shout out to Coach Tibbs, Worldwide West, Leon Rose, and everybody who put this squad together. Now, let's get back to the game. This is a game where the Knicks came out hot, and we all know that when the Knicks are stroking it from 3, they are a tough team to beat. They jumped out to an 18-point lead. But, I got to give some props to those Hornets, too, because that's a feisty team. They have something to play for, too. And, they weren't going to die easy. And they cut back into that lead until they took it and got a 4-point lead themselves. And we had a game on our hands. So, Knicks got some key defensive stops in the fourth quarter, ended up tying this thing up, getting it into overtime. And then from there, the offense started to click again after that cold stretch. And, Julius Randle, MVP of the team, he's been doing this all season, dropping buckets. You know what I'm saying? He gets 33, 10 rebounds, 13 assists, 6 triple-double of the year. Only person with more in Knicks history is Walt Clyde Frazier. So, a historic season for him. And, this is just a feel-good win, man. I was a little nervous at first. We couldn't drop this game if we had hopes of, securing that 4th seed and having home court advantage in the first round. So, they pulled it out, man. I like what I saw from the squad and, multiple contributions from several players and another feel-good win. So I'm going to throw it over to Moo and give me your thoughts on the game, bro.
Yeah, this was a potential trap game. I think, they're just coming off a really big win and coming back home. And, it was risky. I mentioned to you guys in the chat at the beginning of the first quarter, I mean, honestly, Elfrid Payton, I don't know if he knows that he's playing for the Knicks. Because honestly, it looked like he was trying to win it for the Hornets. But yeah, I mean, in spite of all of that, the Knicks pulled another Knicks performance. It was, you had a sense you were hoping that they would kind of blow out, right? Get a big lead, maintain it. But, that's kind of not been their game, right? They don't have the firepower to really keep the blowout, but they hung on, right? Even when the Hornets pulled ahead, you saw that they weren't, caving. They weren't getting nervous. They're just playing their game. So they came back and huge overtime. The Knicks, I mean, I think they're 4-2, right? Overtime, 5-2.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, their overtimes are not close, right? They once the 48-minute buzzer sounds and they're in overtime, they kick it up, which is great to see. It's a good sign heading into the playoffs. Just a very good team performance. Everybody played well except Elfrid. Nerlens was huge. I'll give him props. If Rob's listening.
Oh wait, Moo's giving props to Nerlens.
Absolutely right. Nerlens was huge this game. He was a defensive stopper. He altered the momentum. Right, he came in and stopped momentums. So I have to give him props. Excellent game on Nerlens' part. Just everybody. That Hornets team, they're not a bad team. They got players on that team. LaMelo was the only one that was non-existent. So I'm guessing I know what the answer to one of the later questions is going to be. But yeah, I think it was a very good game. Excellent win. It was good vibes, good feelings all the way through. Coach, give us your take on the game.
Oh, I thought it was a great game, man. I'm really enjoying what the Knicks are doing this season. Julius Randle, he's been phenomenal, man. He probably should have like a 1-year contract every year because I know it's his contract year. So he's balling, man. But really, really big props to him. I liked him in college. Coming in, he came to the Lakers, my team, and I remember the first night of the season, his first game. I mean, probably 5 minutes to the game, he broke his leg, and he ended up moving on from the Lakers, and now he's in New York, and a lot of players come out. It takes them a while to develop, learn an NBA game. And it seems like he's at his time where he's learned the NBA game. He's prepared in the off season. He changed some of his habits and started working a little bit more, and it's paying off. But during the game, they staying solid. They've been consistent all season. I think around like the third quarter, they usually they let down on the defensive end, and as we saw today, Charlotte was able to get back in the game because Knicks was beating them pretty good throughout the first half. So in the second half, they kind of let down on defense, and Charlotte was able to get back in. Right, like those guys, Bridges and Graham, they really turned it on. Those guys are big time scorers. I was expecting more out of LaMelo Ball. I got him as Rookie of the Year this year, but he had a slow game today. I think he had like 8 points and like 4 assists. I think he was the key to with his lack of production kind of hurt them. But Knicks play well. I mean, Derrick Rose has been great. He's rejuvenated, and it's good to see him playing well. Alec Burks, those guys stepped up. He probably had 14 points. I think he added. He played a great role today as far as them all getting the win, and they're looking great, man. They're looking great. I think if they continue this, they probably can shake it up in the first round. I'm sold on them, man. I'm sold on them. Tibbs, great coach. You can see he changed the culture there, and it is paying off. It's definitely paying off.
Yeah, so we've had a discussion right here on the Real GM board, and Coke and Moo, you guys might be a little more more informed because I haven't been there lately. A lot of people don't want to see Alec Burks come back, man. And Alec Burks today, he had 14 points on 5 of 12, 2 of 7 from 3, but he had 9 rebounds and 5 assists. This boy, outside of shooting, he contributes a lot more than just scoring, right? Like, tell me if I'm wrong. Coke, I know you're a very eye test kind of guy, right? You love to see the eye test on there where players do on the court. Alec Burks is a baller, bro. That boy can get out there, score, assist, and do what he needs to do. And he's that right type of player to have coming off the bench behind Derrick Rose. You see how I didn't mention our starting point guard. Elfrid Payton is not going to be the Knicks starting point guard after the season. To me, it should be Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose needs to lead the Knicks starters into the playoffs because, like I said, that boy goes into the paint. 4 assists, 4 rebounds tonight, a little bit lower on the assist end. But to me, I love to see him distribute the ball. And Alec Burks is the same as well from the court end, from the bench end. And then IQ, Coke, and I know you and I say a lot. IQ only had 1 assist tonight. He doesn't pass the ball too much. It's a lot of games with no assist. But today, 13 points. He kind of made the defense step back. I'm not even going to mention the starting point guard because he's such a waste and such a pain. Frank didn't even play because the Knicks didn't need him tonight because everybody was healthy. But tell me if I'm wrong, guys. And I know we've had this conversation, but is there anybody here? And Melvin, tell me if I'm wrong as well. Derrick Rose needs to be the starting point guard. Quick and Quick and Burks are two bench guys. Like, is there anybody that disagrees with that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Derrick Rose, I always loved him from day one. If he's healthy, he's as good as anybody. So that's the key with Derrick Rose. Is him staying healthy. And as long as he's healthy, he's going to produce. I watched him play the other night against the Lakers, and it went down to the end. And he had a great game, man. And he looked like the Derrick Rose of old. So as long as he's healthy, I think he should be the number one guy. And Alec Burks today, 14 points. He had 9 rebounds, man. That's huge coming from the guard position. Getting 9 rebounds. So I think in that order that you said, Derrick Rose, Alec Burks backing him up. I think that's the future for those guys.
Looking at the game and assessing Alec Burks, I think the thing about him is he's just plug and play. He's one of those guys that fills gaps. You know what I'm saying? He's, 6'6" wing, but he can play point guard. He can facilitate. He reads the game, and he lets the game tell him what he's going to do for the night. And when we went through that cold stretch and, the second half, especially the fourth quarter, he started to get aggressive. It was really him and Randle who keyed that comeback. And I would love to bring him back. I think the dilemma is, people are like, hey, you might have to choose between Bullock or Burks, No.
It's your boy Lonzo, bro. It's your boy Lonzo that people don't want to bring Burks for.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the Knicks, what they need is they need a playmaker, a guy who's going to set people up, be high usage, be pretty much that point guard that we're missing. Rose is the answer now, but he really doesn't have a future. So I think the thought process is if the Knicks bring in a big ticket guy like Lonzo Ball, or even if they make a trade for a guy like Rozier, because they can't keep Graham, LaMelo Ball, and Rozier all together, for too long. You got to give up one of those guys. So whoever the Knicks bring in as the long-term solution at point guard, I think people are looking at it like it might make Burks the odd man out because he might price himself out of our market with the good season that he has.
So, Coach, let me ask you a question just because you high on these guys and you buttered up. Do you think Rozier is a Rose replacement? Do you think Rozier is better than Rose for the squad right now?
I wouldn't say better because, I think Rose is kind of like his optimal role should be off the bench, 6th man of the year type of guy. Don't forget, he just missed, the last game. They said it really wasn't an ankle sprain, that it was more of like, I don't really want to say the word, but load management. You know what I'm saying? So
that's what it was, though. Admit it.
It is what it is, right? So, he's had so many surgeries. So then, also you factor in tonight. Look at tonight. He didn't really play that much. So I think he might be hurting, but they don't want to put the word out right around the playoffs. So, down the stretch, just think about the rotation that Tibbs went with in the fourth quarter and overtime. He went with IQ and he went with Burks at the guard positions. Burks was on the ball at pretty much point guard. IQ was off looking to stroke the 3. And that tells me that Rose isn't feeling right. I know he came back tonight, but he didn't really play big minutes and he missed his previous game. So I think something's going on there. I want to bring Rose back, but I think he's best off the bench because we got to manage his minutes.
Yeah, I think Rose, something happened because he got hit hard, and when he hit the floor, I think that's when he kind of got pulled out of the game. And he never really came back. So hopefully nothing's going on there. But yeah, I'm kind of with Coke. I said it before on the Real GM board. Who to bring back? I mean, honestly, none of the guys are really a must bring back, right? It really depends on.
I'm not saying.
Hold on. I think the key is who are you going to bring in to be that one guy in the backcourt, right? I think that's critical. That's a critical get for this team. If they bring in someone, then you start fitting everyone else around it. I think Derrick Rose, out of the guys that are expiring, Rose is the most important guy to bring back. And I think he's the most likely guy to come back, right? He's just got a great synergy with the coach. He's got a great role as someone. I agree with you, Slice. They should start him for the rest of the season and into the playoffs. But I think ideally he's the backup. He's the main 6th man. He's the 6th man off the bench for the Knicks going forward for however long as he can, he can play. But I think as far as what about the rest of the guys, Bullocks, Burks, Taj, Nerlens, it really depends on who you bring in first. They need to uptake in talent. This is still a talent league, right? You win by talent. The Knicks don't have a lot of talent. They need to, if they want to take that next step, they need to find that second talent, especially in the backcourt. If they could do that, then it's really who else fits those guys, right? That player in the backcourt.
No, before we get it to Melvin, though, let me get your perspective, right?
Yep.
We're the 4th seed in the East.
Yep.
Do you think we really lack that much talent, though?
I think no. I mean, in the sense that we have talent. I think for us to compete with the big boys, we need at least one big player.
More
more competent. Yeah.
We can use that, but like, is there anybody that you want? Because the way that you mentioned it right now, like, you didn't really want to bring anybody back. Is there anybody you want to bring back, though? Because there's a lot of players I want to bring back. I like a lot of players on the spot.
I get you. I agree with you. I would love to bring everybody back, even Nerlens. Not Peyton, though, obviously.
Even Nerlens. I was gonna say. You said everybody, and then
everybody except Peyton.
Right.
Yeah, I would love to bring everybody back, but if I had to prioritize, I would say it's Rose, and Taj probably as either, you know.
So you have Taj over Bullock. Because I know in the board, Cole can tell me if I'm wrong. Yeah. You got Bullock as probably your second guy behind Rose, right? Based on what I read.
I figured just because of the synergy, he's a 3-point shooter, sniper. He has good chemistry with Randle. If you pay attention to the game, Randle's always looking for him. When he forces the defense to collapse, that's his main guy he's looking for in a kick out. Then I also value the defense. 3-and-D is like a primary position in the league. You got to have somebody who has length, 6'6", 6'7", could guard shooting guards, small forwards, and even some small ball power forwards as well. So he's low usage. That's another thing. As RJ Barrett takes his ascension and gains more touches and more isolation plays, you need guys who can score off the ball without usage. And that's why I'm saying Bullock is I think he's a bigger part of the team than the fan base gives him.
Yeah, hold on. I just want to caveat that. I don't mean that I want Taj back over Bullock if I had a choice. I'm just saying that Taj and Rose, I think, are the easier guys to bring back regardless.
Because you can get Taj back on a minimum contract.
Yeah, you can get him back, which is a given, right? Rose, I think you could debate, can he get a bigger contract elsewhere? Maybe. But I don't think he wants to. I think he's found his comfort spot. It's here. And I think he's the one guy that will give a discount to stay. That's why I say those two guys are the easier guys to I see bringing back. Everybody else, I mean, I want everybody back, but I'm not going to overpay for anybody.
Right. And on topic of that, we do have a question in chat from Blonde John. He says has Burks played well enough to get over $10 million a year? I'll add on to that. If he has, are you willing to spend more than that to bring him back? Is he worth that?
I don't think you need to spend more than that to bring him back, though. Right? Do you guys think that? I mean, the problem is, and what a lot of people think is, just because somebody's on the Knicks, they're going to ask for more money, right? To me, he showed what he's worth on the Knicks. That doesn't mean that's what he's worth on other teams. And that's my opinion on it. I would love to bring Burks back. I have a little bit more, I have a little bit more of a rundown that I like to bring. I love all the players on the Knicks. I'm more of a continuity kind of guy. The Knicks' biggest problem over the last 5 to 10 years, and you could even go further than that, is the Knicks have no continuity. We don't bring players back from year over year. We had a good year over 2012, 2013, but that was because we had snipers. We had a Jason Kidd. We had a Pablo. We had a Jason Kidd. You had a Rasheed Wallace. All players that weren't guaranteed to come back. These Knicks guys, even though they're a little bit of veterans, and Julius Randle, he's our star player, and Kyle, I know he's a little bit older than what you like to like because you like to shit on Obi. Julius is only 26, man. That boy's he's a star player at 26 years old, and I love to bring him back for the max. And honestly, right now, we don't got Jim on here. I don't know how he wants to feel. Coach Mel, I'm going to ask you first, though, Coach. Julius Randle, should the Knicks bring him back on a max contract? What do you guys think?
I think so. I think he's the guy. And I've been wanting to see some consistency from the Knicks, man. I mean, like every year, they're moving pieces. They're moving their front office, And I think Randle is the guy to build around. Like you said, he's 26 years old. Um, he's past that rookie, young boy stage. He's coming to his own. He's mature. And as you mature and get older, your mind becomes better. You become a better basketball player. And I think he's in that space right now. And I think he's the guy to build around, because at the end of the day, I mean, you let Randle go. I mean, who are you going to get? What's some of these big free agents that really wants to come to Knicks and play? So I think Randle, he likes it here. He looks like he's comfortable. He's loving New York. I think he's the guy to build around.
Yeah, definitely. Coach, you hit it right on the spot. And we've seen it with the Knicks, right? Nobody wants to come here to be the savior, right? That's been right. And the guys that do, right, that come here with nothing, Melo, Marbury, and they can't, create, pull a miracle, walk on water. We see what happens, right? Those guys see what happens when you come to New York by yourself, and you can't do what fans expect, right? So re-signing Randle is key if they want to add another star. Free agency trade, it doesn't really matter, right? Nobody's going to want to come here to be the first guy. The Knicks finally have their first guy since Melo, right? Except, unlike Melo, they actually have cap space. They have cap space. They have trade assets. They have a whole bunch of things, right? So I think, yeah, absolutely, you bring Randle back. I think if they extend him and Randle accepts, they actually save some money. So yeah, definitely, I would start offering, max extension right now. I know some of the guys on the board say, well, give him more time because they're not sure. Look, if you guys are still not sure about Julius Randle, I don't know. We could go back to drafting lottery picks forever, right? That's the alternative plan. Randle is what he is, right? We've seen him grow and he's evolving. The fact that he was the guy that Knicks fans wanted to burn last season for everything that's wrong, for him to be able to stand up, right, and not just come back, but come back like the way he has, that tells you something about his character. So when you got a guy like that with that type of character and with the talent, you don't let him go. You give him an extension, right? You open the wallet, you open the checkbook, you give him the max extension, and then you build with him, right? He's in his prime. You can argue he's even just hitting his prime. You don't get too many guys like that. Yeah, no, he's not LeBron James, right? He's not like a top 3 guy. It doesn't matter.
Who is though?
Right?
Why do we got to have that comparison? You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. And then as far as the rest of the guys, I just want to go back. Absolutely, I think out of everybody else that I would like to have back, yeah, Bullock definitely, right? His fit as a starter, right, and that's kind of the key. He's a clear kind of starter type. He's not a number 1 option, right? He's not a number 2 option, but he's a starter. And he does the exact things that you want your starting guys to have. If you have a guy like Randle and you could bring in a top tier point guard, that's the type of guy you want on the wing, right? So I think definitely Bullock, out of anybody else, right, that may get a big contract, that may leave, he's the one you want back.
Here's the thing. And I'm just looking at it through the lens of like a front office person. You talk about the Knicks. We don't have time. People who say we want to take the wait and see approach, just don't give Randle the extension, just, exercise the option, blah, blah, blah. You can't do that because, time is of the essence. RJ is going to be due to get paid. Some of these other guys, these younger guys are not going to be on rookie contracts forever. The time now is to strike while the roster, you're getting these players at, scale contracts. This is where you want to build it out. So with that said, coach, this, anyone who played the game, anyone who functions in business, it all takes sacrifice. This summer is the year that we find out who's willing to sacrifice, because, I know we're talking about a lack of talent. Just to clarify, we're talking about a lack of top tier talent. So to bring in that top tier talent, you want to secure the rest of your core. You know what I'm saying? You want to secure the rest of that core. You want to secure the bench so that then when you slot in another, number 1 or number 2 option, everyone else slots down in their rank. And now you got an even stronger bench because you filled it in at the top. So back to the point, guys like Bullock, guys like Burks, guys like Noel, You're going to test to see how much they're willing to sacrifice. Will they come back at a discount? Will they come back knowing, hey, we did this much this year without a, certified number 1 or 2 banana aside from Randle? Are you guys willing to, shave off a couple million on the asking price to, compete and have a true winner that can win a ring? That's going to be the answer. That's going to be the true test. And to be honest, it starts with Julius Randle. He's already said publicly, he's willing to sign the extension. If he wasn't, he would get more money if he just, asked the Knicks not to exercise the option, or even if they did, waited till he's a free agent to sign a longer deal. No, he said he's willing to sign now. So, he's going to set the tone. Your leader, if he shows sacrifice, then your role players should show sacrifice. And then if we bring in a certified guy who can be, 1A, 1B or number 2, whatever he slots in as, the rest of the core would be here, and we'll have an even fuller, deeper team.
He wants to retire Nick. I think that was the biggest thing that Julius Randle could have said. I want to retire a New York Knick. And that boy's been killing it, our best player since Carmelo Anthony. And honestly, tonight, man, he had a 30-point triple-double. How rare is it that we see a Knick player get a 30-point triple-double? We haven't seen it since Melo, man. Come on. The thing that annoys me, and you know what? I'm going to call it the real GM board, even though that's how we got started. These boys like to talk a lot of shit. You know what I mean? These boys like to talk a lot of shit.
Call them out, Slice. Call them out.
I'll call them out.
Call them out by name. Give me names.
He said, we want names. Say his name.
Nah. Here's my thing. The names don't stick in my head because it's just a lot of bullshit and a lot of fuckery. You know what? We're not monetized yet. I could say that word, a lot of fuckery. And honestly, if you think I'm calling you out personally, call me out on the board. I'll call you out next time. You're just not worth me calling you and remembering you and shit. It's bullshit and fuckery. Julius Randle is a fucking star player. Carmelo Anthony was a fucking star player. And if you don't fucking realize that bullshit, then you're just a fucking hater. Honestly, tell me if I'm wrong. You know what I mean? Tell me if I'm wrong, Cole, Mo, even Kyle.
Going back to the Carmelo Anthony, I'm glad his name came up. Big time fan of his. When I played, I used to get that my game was similar to his. I think the Knicks failed him. A lot of people talk a lot of shit about him, man. I don't know why. He wasn't the greatest defensive player, right? And that goes for any player that we ever seen. Everybody has a weakness, right? Everybody has a weakness in their game, and that was his weakness. But he wore his heart on his sleeve for New York. He came with it every minute he was on the court, and they failed him by not putting guys around him.
Coach, tell me this. Yeah. When Melo had to play a LeBron, had to play Paul Pierce, had to play an elite player, Paul George, when we played them, did Melo not show up on defense then?
He stepped up every time.
Thank you.
Stepped up every time.
Move, Coach.
If you go back,
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Listen here. If you go back to the season when they went to the playoffs, when they had Rashid and Jason Kidd and Kmart, those guys were all old, but they were good in their prime, right? And look what happened. They go to the playoffs, right? So just imagine if the Knicks was to put some young guys, some young studs around him, they would have been fine. I mean, he had Melo, he had Amari Stoudemire off the knee injury, and they never gave him the team he needed to take the Knicks over the
fucking fire extinguishers. What the fuck, my guy? Come on, man.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. And no disrespect to Amari, he was great too. But
he's a good player, but why are you being so stupid, my guy? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yep. So
to me, that just irritates the shit out of me, and Vivek, I appreciate it, you know what I mean? Bro, I'm gonna call it out because a lot of players who don't like Julius Randle didn't like Carmelo Anthony. And I just feel like those players don't like talent. And you know what I mean? Call me the fuck out. Call me out on the board. Come on this chat, call me out. If you don't like Julius Randle and you don't like Carmelo Anthony, you don't like talent, and you might as well go be
hang on. It's kind of the opposite, though, isn't it, right? Because we got a lot of people propping up Julius to put down Melo, saying, look at Julius, he's great. In comparison, Melo sucked. We got a lot of those.
That's nuts. That's nuts, too.
That's fucking nuts, because they're the same player, bro. They're the leading scorer, leading offensive guy, and they both They both step up on defense, man. You know what? Like, I don't know. To me, it goes different. I was at the bar tonight watching the first half of the Knicks game, and I was watching with the old head called Mike. Mike said he's going to listen out, so Mike, I'm going to shout you out. Mike, you a little bit of a, you lean a certain type of way that's different than me. And you had a little bit of stuff to say about Melo. Here's the thing. The Knicks have not had a player like Julius Randle since Carmelo Anthony. And you guys literally, yes or no, that's all I want to hear. Is Julius Randle a better player than Carmelo Anthony? Yes or no? Moo, I'll start with you first.
Well, thanks.
I was full out cold.
Yeah.
You bro.
You know what? I think Julius is a more complete player.
No, better. Question is better.
Prime Melo, prime Randle. Wow, that's really tough.
That's a big question between New York Knicks fans right now.
That's a big question. I'm gonna kind of buck the trend. I think prime Melo is better than Randle right now. But here's the thing, right? Randle's not done being who he can be. Right, we've seen the best of Melo, right? But Randle is in his first year of his new stardom. So is he going to peak? No, it's ridiculous to assume that a 26-year-old guy who's finally looks like he's figured it out has peaked, right? But that said, Carmelo Anthony was not a bad. He was a great player, offensively, absolutely. Right. But he was a great player. The fact, and I'll go back to this again, people's problem, and people say, no, that's not it. The people's problem with Carmelo is that he couldn't be LeBron. They were still,
Is that fair? Is that fair?
No, it's not fair. But people aren't fair. Right. And every time I brought that up on the board, people were like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's what it is. People were still sour that LeBron did not choose the Knicks, right? Carmelo chose the Knicks. Carmelo is not as good as one of the greatest players ever. So yeah, I mean, but come on, he came, he played, he did what he could, right? Again, him being not LeBron, not being MJ, not being any of those guys that could pull an otherwise low talent or misbuilt team to anything. I mean, that was just nuts. That's always been nuts. But prime to prime now, I would give the edge to Carmelo.
Got to.
To me, it's not even a question. I mean, I love what Julius Randle's doing. I think his game is more diversified, with the ability to pass, and facilitate out of the PF spot. But, just overall, you got to give it to Melo. I mean, this is one of the top scorers in NBA history. I mean, he just made top 10.
He's 40 away from top 9.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, and also on top of it, the guy has a scoring title on his resume. Every year he was, top 10 players in the league. I don't think Julius Randle's done it as, this is his first year doing it. Melo did it, pretty much his whole career. Mm-hmm. So I got to say, it's not even a question to me. It's Melo. I just think, stylistically, people who don't like iso ball, people who don't like a go-to guy scorer who's, gonna dominate the ball. They don't like Melo. It's a personal thing. It's a personal thing, But
you guys want to know a fun fact though? Julius Randle is younger than Melo was when he was traded to New York.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Obi.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was gonna work him in there. Thanks.
By that time, Melo has spent a sizable portion of his career in Denver, but overall, I don't even think it's fair to really compare the two right now because Randle really hasn't. This is his first year doing anything.
Dude, that's us Knicks fans, right? A lot of us just like to compare bullshit.
Yeah, but back to the whole real GM thing. Like we got to keep something in mind. I know you spoke to the old head tonight at the bar, but as far as the chirping that we hear, you got to remember a lot of these fans, they're young. They don't even know what it's like to experience a winner, So they're like battered, wife syndrome.
Is that an excuse though? Is that an excuse?
I mean, it's not an excuse, but it is what it is. It's like,
learn your history.
Most of these fans aren't historians. I mean, look at Kyle, the dude who's no face.
Okay, hold on.
That guy.
Hold on.
He doesn't even know. He probably doesn't even know who Bernard King is.
I know who Bernard King is. I may be young, but I know my history.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it sometimes, Kyle.
What did I tell you guys? I lie to you guys all the time.
Shit, you better start telling the truth before you think you're dumb as shit. Like somebody's
Oh yeah, no, I will. I will.
Nah, but back to the fan base. A lot of the fans haven't experienced the winter, so they're kind of toxic. They haven't seen wins. They don't know what it feels like to have a team that's expected to compete year in, year out like those 90s Knicks teams. So, since they couldn't be entertained over the last, 20 some odd years, they choose to entertain themselves with, the nonsense arguments. And I think a lot of that is based off the media. The media spreads the narratives, the fans run with it. When the Knicks start winning, the focus isn't on, the soap opera and the stories generated by the media. The focus shifts to the game and to winning, and then the fan base becomes more positive. So I think the best thing we could do is do what we did, what we started with that culture change. Win games this year, the fans will be less toxic, the media will be less toxic, and then next thing you know, you'll have players pining to come here because we set a foundation and they want to put us over the top.
I think you're trying to be too optimistic right now because the only thing that Knicks and fans and media have in common is fucking toxic, bro. Like literally, that's the only thing we all have in common is just being toxic. But Coach Mel, I just want to kick it out to you, man. You saw this game tonight. I'm not sure if you watched too many Knicks games before this, but let me know from a coaching perspective, right? From a former player and everything like that at a high level. What did you see that kind of stuck out to you tonight in terms of a Knicks player? Not a Julius, not an RJ, and not a D Rose. Somebody from the bench or somebody, kind of younger who might, be a star player or a surprise for the Knicks in the playoffs.
I really like RJ Barrett. I think he's going to be a player that blossoms as he goes, right? I think he just needs the experience. He needs some more games under his belt. But this year he's shown flashes that he can be a good player, and he's one guy that I watch, and I think he just needs a little bit more confidence. I also like that the Knicks their continuity was there today. I see them moving around, they're moving the ball, they're cutting, and I think that allows for a great shot, and you get great shots. Most of the time, you shot. So I've seen that's what I enjoyed and what I watched and seen them do. That was pretty good. Being that in the past you haven't seen this from a Knicks team. You haven't seen this from a Knicks team. So that was one of the things that I seen that they did well today. That helped them to the victory.
Coach, we spoke about this last podcast, so I'm gonna just throw this question at you, just off the top of your head. Do you see any comp for RJ Barrett? Like, give me any NBA player he reminds you of.
Former players too, right? Anybody that used to play.
He reminds me of a little bit of a Jalen Rose.
I see that.
Both lefties, 6'8". Well, Jalen's 6'8". He's Barry might be about 6'6", I want to say, or 6'7", something like that.
Yeah.
But he reminds me of a Jalen Rose, man. He can score. RJ Barrett, he gets hot, man. He can kill you. And I think once he gets a little older, a couple of games under his belt, he gets that confidence. He's going to be good, man. He's going to be really good. So all the Knicks fans, you got to stay patient with him.
As long as RJ doesn't let nobody score 81 like Jalen let Kobe score, we all right.
Right. After he got the ball at the end of the game against the Lakers the other night, I was like, yes. I don't know how to help. But I think he's a guy that's going to be good for them in the future.
Definitely. I think we're all hoping RJ goes to be that player. So, Coke, I'm going to kick it over to you real quick. You know what time it is right now. Alfred Payton is trash as a New York Knicks player, but we want to hear your trash-ass Alfred Payton Award of the Night winner for the Charlotte Hornets.
Well, it was a tough one tonight, man. I had multiple options. I kind of was like tied up in a level of suckitude. So I'm going to go with triplets. You know what I'm saying? We're going to start with the obvious. LaMelo Ball, big disappointment going into the game. We were saying we were going to look at that key point guard matchup. he didn't deliver. That we thought that might be an edge for them. He dropped the ball. So, pun intended, so 8 points, 4 for 15 from the field, throwing up UFOs from 3 unidentified flying objects, only 4 assists and, being a playmaker is his calling card. And most importantly, he got benched from the third quarter. I don't think he even came back in the fourth and overtime. So he just rode pine for the rest of the game. Then second, I got PJ Washington. This is a dude. He was like a Knicks killer last game, lighting us up from 3. This game, he only scores 4 points, 2 for 11 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. So that other game might be an outlier. He did chip in 10 rebounds. So that was the only reason I was like, maybe I'll back off him. But nah, he could get it too. He was negative 18 plus minus, so I know Kyle hates that stat, but hey, it tells the story.
Be careful. Kyle's coming at you right now, bro, before we get to the third.
And then the third triplet for, scrubs of the night is Malik Monk. And 4 points, 2 for 8 from the field. Supposed to be a shooter. Came out of Kentucky. Was renowned for having that lethal shot. Hasn't shown it in the NBA. 0 for 4 from 3. And I don't know if you guys remember, but late in the third and even in overtime, he was throwing up some ugly shots that had me as a Knicks fan happy because he definitely didn't have the clutch gene tonight, and that helped us get out to a comfortable lead in OT and secure that win. So I'm going with all 3. Coach Mel, give me anybody that you felt was like scrubber tonight. It could be a Knicks player, it could be a Hornets player, don't matter, man.
First, let me say this. I can't wait to see Frank Ntilikina get off the Knicks. I respect everybody that makes it to the NBA. I mean, like I said, I played ball before, so I know how hard it is. I can't stand Frank, man. He needs to get out of there, man. I'm tired of seeing him sitting there. I'm just tired of seeing him. I seen him hit a 3 the other night against the Lakers. I'm like, get this guy out and send him overseas. Get him out of the NBA. I'm just like Phil Jackson. I don't know what the hell he was thinking with this kid. Get him the hell out.
No, you're never allowed back on this.
No. He's coming back on every podcast from now on.
Yo, Mel, you got a supporter in me, man. I say this all the time. Slice is like his biggest fan, man. He don't want to hear it.
Oh my God!
I like defense, bro. I like motherfuckers that play defense. Get out of here.
Yeah,
that's what you call defense, okay?
Oh, wait.
You guys see how happy MP was about that contest?
Who Coach said was a good defender.
Say that again. Sorry.
I said you like Kevin Knox, who Coach said was a good defender.
Oh, he's. I'm a Kentucky guy.
So, you were gonna say he's. So I knew you coached.
I heard the S word.
I rooted for that kid, man, but he's another one, man. It's time for him to go. It's time for him to go, man. But
I'm never gonna let you live that down, bro. I'm never gonna let you go.
I gotta put a disclaimer in.
Good defender down, yo.
I gotta put a disclaimer in. I say he's a better defender than he was. He played decent this year defensively.
He's still trash.
He didn't get exploited. That's all I ask.
Hey, Coke, he's trash, man. He's trash.
Hey, man, I can't defend him anymore. He's out of rotation. I tried, Kevin.
He's out, man. He's like a cheerleader, man. You see him on the sideline, he's like jumping up crazy. Like he knows he's not getting there, so I guess he tried to support the guys as best he can. But going back to the original question, Peyton, man, he was a little disappointment. He's a great core guy. He's a great role player. Actually come off the bench. He has his moments. I think he's a talented scorer. He's a good ball handler. He can hit the outside shot sometimes. But he didn't do anything today. So he was the guy. On Charlotte, I was really looking forward to seeing ball. Like I said, he's my rookie of the year. I think he hurt them with production tonight. 8 points, 4 assists. But he shot 26% from the field and 0 for 4 from 3. So I think that he was the scrub of the night for Charlotte.
Yeah,
those are my 2 guys.
I think it's hard to disagree with that, Coach. I think it's a good thing. So, Coach, I'm gonna kick it to you first, man. Right? So, all of us on the podcast right now, we all predicted a Knicks win against Boston Celtics tomorrow night, right? Right now, the Knicks are still in 6th. Atlanta's got a cupcake schedule. Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks actually play 8 o'clock tonight. So, Coach, I'm gonna kick it to you for this. You think Miami and Milwaukee, who wins tonight? Because I think Milwaukee still has a chance to play for second. And the second question I have for you right now is, what's your biggest matchup? Is it that RJ versus Jimmy matchup, or do you think something else might be more important for the Knicks versus Miami tomorrow night? Or, if the Knicks play them in the playoffs, I should say, sorry.
Right. I think for the matchups, well, for the games, I think Milwaukee will beat Miami. Even though I do like Miami, right? I just have these things where when I have a feeling, I just think Milwaukee's gonna win that game. Knicks in Boston, I'm pushing for the Knicks. I think the Knicks will pull it out. I think they have a good rhythm right now. They got a lot of confidence, and Boston losing Jaylen Brown, that's huge for them, man. I think they can't win without him. That's gonna hurt in the playoffs. So I think they're a little down with that injury. So I think the Knicks pull out that game. Matchup as far as Jimmy Butler, who was the other guy you said?
I said if the Knicks end up playing Miami in the 4-5 seed, if Atlanta loses, how do you feel about that? Or or Knicks versus Milwaukee, since that'll be the realistic 3-6.
I think the Knicks match up better against Milwaukee. I mean, believe it or not. I think with Miami, on the guard side, their guards are stronger. You got Jimmy Butler, you got Dragic, you got the 3-point shooters and Robinson and Hero. So I don't think they match up well against those guys in the guard position. So I think Milwaukee is a better matchup. I say, but I'm not really expecting. And I don't want to hurt you guys' feelings. I'm not really expecting the Knicks to do anything in the playoffs. I mean, if they do, great. But overall, I think they just on the right path, and they had a great season. So I think that's a success in itself. So that's where I stand as far as the playoffs and the next couple of games.
Man, Coach, let us know what you think, man. So like I was telling Coach, right? It's realistically, we're either going to play Atlanta or Miami, depending on how Miami does against Milwaukee. So, I think we all know who we'd rather play, right, bro? We all wanted to play Atlanta, but I know you've actually been the one to say Miami because you want to, see some of those early 90 Knicks battles. But, to me, let me know how you feel about a matchup for the Knicks versus the Hawks, the Knicks versus the Heat, and then the Knicks versus the Bucks, because those are our most three realistic matchups.
I'm gonna start with the Atlanta Hawks because I think that's probably the optimal matchup if you want to win. You know what I'm saying? Julius Randle pretty much kills all their power forwards. No one on that roster can guard him. We got the length on the perimeter to make things difficult for Trey. Trey is gonna get his 20 points, 10 assists or whatever. But the thing is, you just want to make him work hard for it. I think we got the size on the perimeter to do that. We got some switchability. So, the Hawks really don't scare me. But me personally, like, I'm a believer in, you put you put a stone through fire and you get a diamond. Well, I want to see that matchup with the Heat because, baptize these kids by fire. Let RJ go against Jimmy Butler. Have them go against a well-coached team, like that team is run by Coach Spo. And, just have a throwback defensive series similar to 90s ball. And I think the Knicks will come out better for it, even if they lose. We see, if you're a historian to the game, most of the teams that, make a true ascension from pretender to contender, they have a team that, pretty much beats their ass. And then the next season they come back and, Davis slays the Goliath. And, that's why I want to see that Knicks-Miami Heat matchup, even though it'll be a tougher matchup. Now, the Bucks, I don't really like the Bucks as a matchup because I just think they have so much length. You got Giannis who can really neutralize Randle because he's just as strong as him, but he's a lot longer. So, Julius can't really play bully ball with him. And then even if he brings him up to the perimeter, Giannis has enough length to contest those step back jumpers that Julius Randle has become so good at. And the same thing with those mid-range jumpers. Then you got Brook Lopez in the paint, and he's just like a tree rooted down there. And, he's the last line of defense, and I think that'll bother our guards. So I'm kind of worried about that Bucks matchup. I want to avoid them. So, if I had to rank them, I'll say, realistically, if you want a chance to win, you go Atlanta, Miami, Bucks last. But if you're talking about just putting pressure on guys and seeing who's going to step up and getting some real tough playoff experience, then I'm all for that Miami Heat's matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of go the same, right? For me, most important come playoff times, it's different. It's one thing to play a team once and you move on. It's another thing to play a team in a series, right? And come playoff time when everything counts, the pressure is on, and you want to look at matchup and experience. The Hawks are the least experienced team, right? And they probably are the best matchup for this team. So definitely, if the plan is to try to win and move it into the next round, Hawks, I think, clearly are the guys you want. The Heat, they're the most experienced, right? They're the most successful. That's the danger with playing the Heat, is that you play them and Spoelstra through a series, you're not going to likely make a run on them, right? 2 games, 3 games, and you're up. If you win, they'll come back even stronger and beat you. So it's going to be a really dog fight. They have a lot more experience. They have guys that we don't match up well with. So that's the risk with the Heat. The Bucks are probably a little bit more talented, and they've definitely, like Coach said, they have the size. But they've choked, right, the past 2 seasons in the playoffs. So it says something maybe about their character and whether they can persevere. And against a team that plays hard and physical like the Knicks, maybe the Knicks can knock them out, right, in the first round. So definitely Hawks, absolutely by far the team that the Knicks would want to face in the first round. Then I think it's a toss-up between either the Bucks or the Heat in that first round. But it's going to be interesting, right? Whatever it is, kind of like Coach said, we're playing with house money right now, right? Nobody expected this team to even get this far. So, win, lose, the Knicks are going to compete. Tibbs he's not going to let them fold, right? So I'm just excited to be in the playoffs, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, definitely let's hope for the Hawks. At least we can move into the second round.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of the negativity that we've seen on the Knicks board, and from Knicks fans who are just like, I don't think they're going to get this far. They're going to beat this team. This is a much better expectation than the Knicks, we thought we were going to see this year. To me, I think the Hawks are a tough matchup. Or sorry, not the Hawks. The Bucks are a tough matchup because they're so long inside. I think that's going to limit Julius Randle when he tries to go down to the paint, even when he tries to go down to the baseline for his favorite, corner jump shot there. The Hawks have a lot of length to kind of disturb him over there. He's really going to have to kick out, and our three-point shooter is going to have to really be the key against the Milwaukee Bucks. If we play the Miami Heat in the first round there, I think that's going to be the toughest matchup, maybe even a little bit more tough than Milwaukee, only because the Heat are able to play great defense down low, outside, and as well as mid-range. Their 3-level defense is as good as any 3-level offense in the NBA, in my opinion, and you guys can interrupt me if I'm wrong here. But I think, Pat Riley coached team and his umbrella, as well as a SPO, being a coach and a video coach who knows a lot about player tendencies. I think that's really a tough matchup because their defense is very strong and very nuanced. And to me, that's very tough for the Knicks because the Knicks are a team that we kind of rely a little bit driving into the paint and hitting outside jumpers. RJ Barrett kind of abandoned that mid-range jump shot. Julius Randle hasn't really, went after the jumper outside of the corner shot, the baseline shot, I should say. So, I'm hoping the Knicks see more of that. To me, our favorite matchup is the Atlanta Hawks. I think that's the matchup the New York Knicks have the best shot against. I think that's the best the Knicks have confidence against before they go into the second round and we play more of a team like honestly, if the Knicks beat the Atlanta Hawks, the confidence that New York City would have would make me feel confident to pick up a game or two against another team. And that's where I'm really at. You know what I mean? We beat San Antonio. This game tonight against the Hornets or this afternoon against the Hornets was very huge. A 9-point win. The Knicks will win it all game. And then Charlotte comes back and takes the lead in the second half, guys, in the fourth quarter. And, Moo, I know your blood pressure's been pretty steady, but you can't tell me your blood pressure wasn't high that fourth quarter, was it not?
It was peaking a little bit. I had to step away.
Blowing a little bit of a lead, you got to take a little bit of a break. My doctor.
I took a break. Yep.
My doctor tells me I got to stop watching Knicks games because my blood pressure gets high. You know what I mean? So I'm only young, bro. I'm like 32 right now. I don't want to age myself, but my doctor said the same thing. Like, you got a little bit too excited. And I said, you know what? The Knicks get me too excited. So big win for the Knicks tonight, man. Let's kick it off to our final thoughts. Coke, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to skip you real quick. I'm going to run to Coach Melvin, because I know he's got the little whip going right now. He's got to drive to where he gets to. Coach, give me your final thoughts on the game tonight and how you feel about the Knicks going forward, man.
I think they played well. It was important. I think going down the stretch and to what they're trying to build and establish as a team right now, it was important for them to win this game. And they started out hot. They was up big on Charlotte. They might have been, plus 15 or something like that. And throughout, Charlotte made their run, which every team does for the most part during the game. And I think they weathered the storm, and it was big that they were able to pick up the victory in overtime. I think they're going in the right direction, man. I think Julius Randle is the guy to build around. To put some pieces in. They probably need to bring in some more guys to really take it to another level. But I think they're going in the right direction, and I'm liking what I'm seeing from them at this point.
Gog, what's your thoughts?
Well, Knicks did what they always do. They've shown fortitude. They've shown mental toughness, and they epitomized that tonight. Even blowing the lead, some teams in the past would get down, let it snowball and just concede the L after things don't go your way. But they righted the ship, fought hard, got the victory, and that was big. And that kind of epitomized our season. We're always willing to fight back. I don't care if it's within the game or even go into the next game where we actually lose. We don't let things snowball and get into losing streaks. So, props to the team for showing that mental toughness. And, just on that note, I do want to, since I got Coach Mel on here, I want to throw something his way just for nostalgia because, we from the same generation. This is a dude who, went up against some of the top players, man. So before you go, just throw at me, man, your top competitor that you went up against in the PSAL and in college, and I'm sure it'll be a name that a lot of folks in our age bracket recognize, man.
Right. It's tough, man. So many guys. So on a collegiate level, believe it or not, it was a guy that played at St. Joe's my sophomore year. Jameer Nelson was a freshman. He was in the backcourt with Delonte West. They were both freshmen. And they had a guy on their team. He was coming off a concussion. And, he had a name. He was leading the country in scoring. His name was Marvin O'Connor. And the game we played him, he was coming off a concussion. So I'm like, all right, he's probably not going to have one of his better games tonight. So that should work in our favor. Dude, this kid had 45 points, man.
Whoa.
Off a concussion. And I always let this guy know because I played guard back then and it was another guard on my team. Kid named Keith Sellers. I always say that, and he was guarding him. He gave him 45, man, and it was a away game. It was at St. Joe's, so the gym was going crazy, being that they star player was getting coming back, and this guy just straight up lit us up, man. I thought he was going to be a great pro. After college, man, I never really heard of him, man. Like not even overseas or nothing. So that was strange. But this kid was very talented, and out of a ton of guys that I played against. Guys that had names, guys that went on to play in the pros. He was a guy that I'll never forget. That was a game that stuck out. That he really dominated and killed us, man. On the PSL level, Stephon Marbury, man. I mean, I remember the first time I played against him. I was younger too when he was a senior. I was a freshman coming in. He was a guy that really motivated me to really work at it. And to get better because the things I seen him do, I said I am not ready yet. And I even remember him playing on my team. They had an AAU tournament at IS8 out in Queens.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah, IS8 was one of the biggest tournaments in the country, and he played, man. And I mean, he was getting 50 easy, man. Easy.
Pulling from half court, man.
They were calling him, the guy on the microphone was Pete Edwards. He was calling him 12-pointers. I mean, he was stepping over half court and just nailing it like it was nothing.
Nah,
so he during my era, he was one guy that I say that was one of the top players.
That's crazy that you went up against Steph, man, because Like, I went up against Dwayne Jarrett, right, in football and basketball. In football, he scored 6 touchdowns against my high school team, bro. And he didn't do shit in the NFL, right? And then he had him in the NBA, he didn't do anything in, playing basketball. But he scored like 40, 50 points. But I can't even imagine playing against somebody like Steph in high school or college ball, man.
Oh, yeah, man. He was tough, man. I mean, you got Lamar Odom, Ron Artest. All those guys came from Queens. Quentin Richardson from Chicago. Those guys, they were my year. Jamal Crawford.
Can't forget Skip, man. Teammate, Skip.
Oh, absolutely, man. Skip is definitely one of the best players I've seen.
You play with Rafe? You play with Rafe?
He was before me. We went to the same high school, but he's before me. I played with him 1 year at the Rucker. We played for Def Jam, and he played. And I used to just get the hell out the way, man. He like that street ball thing wasn't accustomed to like my game. Like I was more of like of a pro player, catch and shoot, catch and drive. He was like the showman guy. He was a showboat. And if you took your eyes off of him, Mark Jackson was on our team. If you took your eyes off for a minute, man, those guys was getting you the ball. They actually passed the ball really well, man. Mark Jackson.
I mean, that's a solid point guard squad right there, bro.
Yeah. It was crazy. Yeah. If you was open for a second, you was getting it. You was getting it because Skip, he liked to break a guy down, wrap it around his head, and then he's like dishing it off. Like he wasn't really so much of a guy like after breaking him down scoring, he was dishing it off. So if you was open for a second, better have your hands ready because it was coming. It was coming.
You played with Escalade and all that, because his brother knew how to pass for a big man too.
Escalade was tough, man. He was tough, man. He was a big guy. Man. He knew how to pass. He was a player, man. He just knew how to play. If you need him to score, he can score. If you need him to pass, he can pass. Those guys are just straight up ball players, man. All
those and one guys. Those and one guys knew how to play, man. Definitely.
The list goes on, though, man. I mean, from New York, and then on a national level, I played against some great talents. Great talent.
Cool, let me kick back off to you, man. You got anything else to say for your final thoughts, though?
Nah, that's it for me, man. Just to the fan base, I'm not gonna be here tomorrow. The panel's gonna hold it down, and let's hope the Knicks win that final game of the season, and we go into the playoffs on a high note. So I'm gonna just give my salute to the base now.
All right.
There you go.
Well done.
Coach, before I kick it over to Moo, you got anything else to say for your final thoughts, bro?
Nah, I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Nah, man, coach, my fault.
Oh, coach, my bad. I thought you said coach.
It's close.
Nah, this is great, man. I definitely I was moving around today, man. So I would love to be set up nice and comfortable and really speak with you guys. But in the future, man, you guys need me to get back on. I'll definitely get back on. And this is great. Like Coke is a long friend, long-time friend. We go way back to even before I was playing basketball, playing Little League baseball. Eight, 9 years old. Me and Coke go back, man. So it was definitely
the coach is pushing another hand to y'all, huh?
Oh yeah, man.
Nah, man, we really appreciate you having on, man. It was really great to get your insight, though, and thank you for joining us, dude. Especially while you're driving, dude.
Absolutely, man. My pleasure.
Thank you, man. So, Moo, kick us off with your final thoughts, dude.
Yeah, you know what? The overtime kind of says what this Knicks team's what they're made of, right? They could have just given up, right? They were up 18 to go down and then keep it tight, and then come overtime. I mean, they were on a high, right? They came out on fire, and that's kind of how they played all season. It shows their character, shows their what they're all about. Talent or no talent, it doesn't matter. Team or whoever they're facing, wherever they're at, it doesn't matter to this team. That's huge. That's the biggest thing for me taking out of this game is just how they play. Right, these guys are ballers. They do whatever it takes. It doesn't matter. So that's what you want. You want that kind of mentality heading into teams, especially in the playoffs. Right, when you're going to hit tougher teams, you don't care. It doesn't matter what team you play. Right, you're gonna go out and play. If you lose, you lose. You come back the next game and you compete and you try to win. Right, and that's what this team is about. That's what the season's been about. So it's definitely excited, looking forward to the next many years as a Knicks fan.
Yeah. No.
Hang on. Before we go, I do have one fun fact because I feel like this fact needs to be spread. It needs to be heard by people. Elfrid Payton has made 28 3-pointers this year. Do you want to know the one other player who has made 28 3-pointers exactly for the Knicks?
Don't tell me Frank, man.
No,
Don't tell me Frank.
No. Frank is at 25. Take a wild guess. Anyone else? Any ideas?
Obi.
23.
23.
Yeah, so close.
Can't be Noel. So,
Taj.
He's at 3,
Nah.
so close enough.
I'm making up bullshit right now. Who is it, Kyle?
Austin Rivers.
Oh my
Austin
goodness.
Rivers.
Yeah.
You should have said former Nick. We all would have guessed that.
That's why I didn't say former Nick. You'd have given it away. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Austin Rivers, and how many games did he play for us? Like 20?
He had a cup of tea here, man.
Yeah.
It was all the Utah games, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was the only time he spread up, man. But that's funny you bring that up, Kyle, because I think every single Knicks fan, once the playoffs are coming up right now, Knicks got one game left in a regular season, which is another playoff game, really. Because like I said, since San Antonio, all these have been playoff games, and Elf needs to get the hell out the starting lineup. I mean, I think it's that simple. If anybody disagrees with me, you can call me out on it later. If you do disagree with me, you shouldn't be a Knicks fan anyway. Then I'm assuming you're, Miami or a Celtics fan or something like that. But
those like closet Nets fans.
Some bullshit. Some bullshit, man. But this was, Moo, like you said, a big overtime win for the Knicks. Every single game is a playoff game. We got to worry about seeding. The big thing the Knicks got to worry about tonight, or Knicks fans should watch tonight, is Miami versus Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee might be tanking because they might be stuck. If I remember right, Kyle, you could tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if they even have a chance to get second place over Brooklyn. I think Philly clinched first. So
they do have a chance because
they have a chance.
Yeah, because they have the tiebreaker over the Nets. And
got you. So
and they're only one game behind.
Hey, Knicks fans, start rooting for them if you guys want to worry about matchups. If not, I just want the Knicks to go into the playoffs hot on a 3-game win streak and just playing hot. Knicks got the Boston Celtics tomorrow afternoon. National TV game on ESPN. That's where our New York Knicks are at right now, fellas. Knicks are playing a final day matchup on national TV. Hope you enjoy your wedding. I know you'll still be catching that game, bro. We're going to hold it down for you. Everybody else, we appreciate you guys joining us. Coach Mel, thank you again for joining us, man. It was really great to get your perspective on things, and we really want to thank you for joining us today. Everybody else, make sure you give us a thumbs up if you like what you heard, as well as subscribing to make sure you can catch our latest videos when they come up. Hey, one more regular season game for the New York Knicks. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock on ESPN. Let's go New York, clinch that first seed, and we'll catch you guys after that for the playoffs, all right? No blood, no foul. Thank you. We love y'all, and we out.
Peace, God.